should be done. Anyway, about like that maybe. Four, three, two.
Welcome back to another episode of Relish. I am Rowan Miller, and this is Pastor Don Patterson. Don, how are we doing today?
Yeah, we're doing good.
Doing good, yeah? Nice and energized?
Oh, yeah. We're nice and energized and refreshed by all the activities going on in the world.
Right.
Yeah, getting closer to Easter week by week.
Mm-hmm. Flowers are starting to sprout, maybe?
I hope so,
Yeah.
I've got a question for you. What is the single biggest time waster in your life, and what can you do about it?
Single biggest time waster. I've actually been more aware of this, but it's been YouTube for me, probably. I mean, some of it is for the, rewatching Relish episodes or more topics like that, or just watching golf or some comedy thing, whatever. But at
least you can choose
I'll waste some time in there.
Yeah, at least you can choose what you watch. And if you're not watching just whatever's on the channel.
Right.
Yeah. And mine is that blasted phone.
Oh, yeah.
Just
Well, that's what I usually watch it on, is my phone. But
But there's so many things on there that want to get our attention and are striving to get our attention. Yeah.
Yeah.
Time waster. Yeah. Leave that booger in the house next time you go outside.
Right. I'm thankful for looking back on it now, I'm thankful that my parents withheld social media from me when I had first gotten a phone, because
wise folks.
Yeah. Realized the benefits of not having that. I have YouTube, but yeah.
It's not like everything else that's on there. Social media. So like Facebook.
My generation, it's Instagram.
Yeah. I don't have Instagram. Oh, man. Yeah. Bad enough the way it is.
Right.
Yeah. So Facebook is for old people. I didn't, Okay.
All right. Today
Anybody feel dated out there? Yeah.
Anybody? Yeah. Who are we at? Instagram or Facebook? Which one?
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
So, how should Christians approach the topic of immigration?
Oh, wow. And that is big, big news now. Well, I've been really silent on this an awful long time because I'm not sure anybody's listening to what the Bible says about immigration. I know a lot of people want to say, we need to be kind to those, and they go out to Old Testament passages that say that we should treat the immigrant like we treat ourselves. And what I find interesting is they must not be looking at the same Bible I am. So when I look at that, it's also taking in consideration the fact that, well, now if you're doing that, then you also need to have the same regard that the immigrant and the citizen have to toe the same line.
Right.
What's interesting is we often think, they're visitors in our country, and so we bring that Semitic welcome of the visitor into the conversation. And that's really not the case. So we are thinking of immigration as a nation with borders, around the outside.
Right.
And the Old Testament is written with a city-state concept.
Okay.
In other words, there were not borders between nations as much as there were walled cities. And so if you were an immigrant, if you were a sojourner or alien, you could be allowed inside the wall.
Okay.
Or not.
So a little more kind of like Europe, where they can travel between countries.
Right.
But the cities are still set apart.
The cities are still set apart. And it would even be tweaked a little higher than that, because in order to get inside the wall, inside safety, you would have to meet the criteria of the people inside that city.
Okay.
And so when Lot went to Sodom, and he would have had to he couldn't really challenge the city because he was a sojourner. He was a foreigner. So for him to stand up against the others would not have worked well because he needed to reflect the values of that city that were already established.
Okay.
And I'm looking for Leviticus 23, Genesis. And so you go into that city knowing that you would reflect the values of that city. There it is. It's Leviticus 24. So,
Okay.
in other words, they could actually expel you from the city if you didn't reflect those values.
Okay.
And one of the stories that reflects this is the fact that when you get to Leviticus 24, verses 10 through 23, now a son of an Israelite mother and an Egyptian father, which would make him a foreigner, went out among the Israelites, and a fight broke out in camp between him and an Israelite. And the son of the Israelite woman blasphemed the name with a curse, the name of God, that's capital N, so that they brought him to Moses. His mother's name was Siboth Shelemith, the daughter of Debri the Danite. They put him in custody until the will of the Lord should be made clear to them. And the Lord said to Moses, "Take the blasphemer outside the camp. All those who heard him are to lay hands on his head, and the entire assembly is to stone him." And what's being said here is the same rules that applied to everybody within the covenant of God applied to the people who were coming with the Jews. So in other words, instead of getting a free, okay, this guy just didn't know, but he doesn't get a get out of jail free card.
Right.
And I think what's happening with immigration today is we're taking the Old Testament passages that say you're supposed to treat the stranger, the foreigner, one way, and we're reading a 21st century context back into it, and we're not realizing that there's a context in which it's written. If anyone curses God, here, the entire assembly must stone him, whether alien or native born. When he blasphemes the name, he must be put to death. Notice that. The entire assembly must stone him, whether alien or native born.
Interesting.
Which is a passage I think people are passing over a little too fast. So when we read an Old Testament passage that gives welcome to the foreigner or an alien, it's with that construct that if you come within the city-state, then you come and honor the rules of that city, that city-state. And otherwise, you're expelled. And we get visions of that with the city-state thing is Boaz. Boaz goes to the gate where the elders assemble. And that's where he talks about whether Ruth should be his wife or the cousin. And so it's a different thing than saying that we've got a border, way out in the middle of nowhere. And how do we then screen that on the other side? Oh, does that mean that we're extra mean to everybody who's a foreigner? No. Does that mean? But the expectation of the foreigner to carry the values of the state, the city, the nation that they're coming into, I think it's expected by any other nation. I think there needs to be some expectation of that here.
Right.
The reason being is we don't have an identity other than our corporate identity. And our corporate identity has been formed over 250 years. And even pre-revolution. So then, why are we letting people mess that up now? I mean, my German ancestors, we don't speak German anymore.
Yeah.
My Irish ancestors, we don't speak Gaelic anymore. It's just not, it's just not what you do.
Right.
So I think we as Christians should probably, my feeling is, with this nonsense going on both sides, Christians should be the ones in the middle making sense of things. Because we have the Bible, we have the Word, and it basically is not going to the extremes. It's paving a new way.
Right.
And it's not being listened to right now. Partly because the people who are thinking in the middle aren't speaking. They're silent, Right. It's the extremes on both ends that are getting the extra screen time, if you will.
Yeah.
And, it's sort of like where we started. These lovely little things are ruling our lives.
Yeah.
And what we get through media that way.
Yeah.
That's where I'm coming on immigration. I think we've sort of lost sight of all that. I mean, anybody who comes within the nation without moving legally is breaking the law.
Right.
Well, that's the first thing to deal with. And then if we are the community of faith and we have compassion towards these people, we should be less changing our government and more saying, okay, let's raise the funds to make sure they get naturalized.
Yeah.
And what I'm not hearing that. I'm hearing a lot of Christian groups singing hymns and saying the government has to change rather than, okay, let's obey the law. Let's make sure all the documents are formed and put in place so that this person that we care for is naturalized and is no longer illegal, but legal.
Right.
And there's a lot of sad stories out there right now, and it just bothers me that there are not more Christian groups working at solid answers, rescues for the people we know are all right, and go from there. Instead, we'd rather argue about it.
Right. It's also tough because a lot of politicians are Christians, but their job is being a politician, and to be elected as a politician nowadays, you have to be so polar opposite and so split apart from the middle. And if you're too close from the middle, then you don't get your nomination. So
yeah. And so part of our system is actually polarizing us.
Right.
What's happened in the past is even if there were polar opposites of view, there was a place, Congress, where the conversation could be had in a civil tone and the case could be made for both sides. Mm-hmm. And then you could decide what is best for this nation. And we're not there anymore. There's rhetoric on one side and rhetoric on the other side. Nobody's listening in the middle.
Right.
I don't have solid pictures of it, but I'm hearing that, well, when one side's talking, the other side is gone, not even in the room at the time. Yeah. And then the other side comes in and make their case, and the other side's gone. And I thought, wait a minute, what has happened to civil discourse where we could respect each other's opinion and why they brought it, and also say, okay, in the middle of this, what are the tag points we want to say is important? And important not only to me because of my constituency, but important, moreover, to our nation and the future. And the nation, us old farts are going to hand down to the young ones, you know. So we've lost sight. We've lost sight of the vision for which this nation was put together to be a Christian nation where solid sanity comes out in the middle, and we can not only be a healing for our own people, but a place of healing for other peoples. And we can actually speak into conflicts around the world in a positive way. And there's no speaking positively to anything these days. I'm sorry. I got on my soapbox. I should not have done it, but oh well. We'll let Alex edit it if he wants to. I'm weeping for our nation, and the good people that are part of it. And yeah.
Right.
You were looking at
Get
me.
that-
Is he done yet?
Get that topic covered.
I think I covered it all. I'm willing to cover it right now. But you
Okay.
can always ask questions, you know. This is a good time. You could submit a question if you'd like and say, Don, talk more about that.
Yeah, I think we'll just close it out with one more question here. What does the Bible say about farming? Does how we farm today reflect what the Bible says?
Okay. It has a lot to say about farming. In fact, many of our illustrations about what happened in the world was farming related. And a lot of the parables that
Yeah.
Jesus used has a
Sowing
farming
seed.
agricultural base to it. And part of my concern is, will the next generation understand? Because
Right.
a lot of my generation still were close enough to the farm, had grown up on the farm, that they understand those things. And then, but I'm
Big
not
cities are
sure.
getting bigger and rural areas are becoming even less populated. Yeah.
Right. And people aren't even planting gardens anymore.
Right.
So then we come to that last part where do our farming practices reflect the Bible? Is that
Yeah.
sort of where I hit it? And yes and no. I think there's an understanding among people who are farmers that you have to give the ground a rest in order for it to build on a molecular level to better produce. But what I feel among my farmers that I know is the fact that they can't afford it. Almost every economy that's reflected has an agricultural base to it.
Right.
But in very few countries is the farmer rich.
Yeah.
Even though everybody needs the farmer to feed themselves, in very few countries does the farmer ever get rich. And we're coming to that same spot in the United States, that you cannot let an acre of ground go fallow without it somehow bringing some income in, because every acre is needed to keep the bottom line going.
Right.
And so our farmers are at a tremendous. The Old Testament talks about leaving ground fallow, and in the seventh year, you leave all ground fallow.
Yeah.
Don't plant any crops. And so, in the 50th year, the year of Jubilee, there's no crops planted anywhere, period.
Huh.
And you basically make your living off of what you stored up in the 7 years before and what grows up volunteer in the fields. And you can harvest that in the year of Jubilee. But you don't go out and plant. It's like a Sunday, Sabbath
Yeah.
day.
Sabbath
You give it
year,
to the ground. Well, there's no. I don't know a farmer that can afford to let 80 acres go fallow.
Right.
I mean, I think even the guys who have had ground in CRP have taken it out of CRP because that just doesn't make the bottom line. And so the push on our farmers today is just amazing. I don't think anybody in towns realizes that the farmer who's getting ready to go to the field and plant actually has, I think, I might be wrong, $1,400 an acre investment in this part of the year that they will carry until harvest. And you think about $1,500 an acre for every acre you've got out there. They're taking a tremendous risk to feed us.
Right.
I don't see that spoken to in the Bible. Jesus talked about the guy who made it so good farming that he had to build a new barn. You know, I remember that. But not.
I remember my grandpa thinking about that story when he wanted to put up a new shed and he wasn't sure if he wanted the new shed or not.
Right, yeah. For this very night, your life will be asked of you. Yeah. Interesting. So the push in agriculture today is not like anything that would have been happening at Jesus' time
Yeah.
and or before. Yeah, or before.
Yeah.
So it's really hard. I really feel for our farmers.
Mm-hmm.
It's praise the Lord for every one of them,
Yeah. Definitely.
because otherwise we wouldn't have any pickles on our table, or fuel in our cars.
Right.
Just the farms are blessing our nation so much at such a high risk.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Alrighty. Well, thank you, Don, for maybe stepping out on a limb today. But
I think so. Yeah. Alex will
it was
test this
enjoyable.
one. Alex will test this episode
Yeah.
a little extra.
Yeah.
I don't know whether I want right. Yeah. Okay. Go for it, Alex.
Thank you guys for joining us today. Share it with a friend maybe that has been talking about this subject. But yeah.
Yeah.
Hope you guys learned something today. I know I did. And thank you again as always, Don.
Glad
We'll
to be
see
of
you
help.
guys next time.
Lord willing. Oh, yeah. I didn't handle it quite as good as I wanted. That last question was really good. 21.